How's it going, fight fans? It's your boy Joey G. We are back and we are joined today by a very special guest. He is a former multi-time WWE Tag Champion. He just starred in the hit Netflix series I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, and he's got the best beard in the business. We are talking to Erick Readbeard. Mr. Redbeard, how you doing today, brother?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. I'm so happy and honored for you to be joining the show today. I got a lot of stuff to talk to you about. You've had such a unique career in the pro wrestling industry, and I wanted to start with just a question since you've performed for both WWE and AEW on big stages for both of those companies. Did you ever notice any significant difference while performing for the fan base? Meaning, did you feel like a different energy when performing for a WWE crowd versus an AEW crowd?
It's weird because to me, I was pretty much constant besides being hurt with WWE for so long, and that grind goes a long time. And the atmosphere at times, the morale is down, but that's everywhere. And sometimes you're quote unquote pushed, and you have this revitalized outlook, and like, oh, they're giving me promo time. This is like pumping me up and wants me to, you know, explore new avenues of like how to quote unquote get over. But it's mostly just developing a character and letting people know who you are and who you want to be portrayed as whatever character you are portraying,
Mhm.
no matter what storyline you have. And at times, you'll be given a storyline and they say don't talk and do this thing that makes no sense and that, but it more, it's not challenging, and it obviously it doesn't like give you that adrenaline when you go out in front of the crowd that you should be having.
Mm.
So like, there were times especially towards the end with the cage gimmick where I'd walk out and I know I have a 2-minute squash match, which it's not challenging to me.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
guy. I think, like I said, I was given time with Malachi for a couple matches, Alistair, and like those were fun. Even though I had the gimmick in the cage, it was fun because it was a match, and you had time, and you could feel the crowd's energy because you could tell a story at least within the confines of the match. So then fast forward to AEW. For me, it's different because like I'd been gone for so long on a big stage
Mm.
to come back, and there's an arena full of people and it's not just an empty warehouse. And I think that kind of gets you, you know, I don't know. The workers always talk about like that feeling you get when you walk out, or the feeling you hear from a crowd, and how it like amps you up. And it does. It amps you up. It gives you energy and gives you a new step, and like, that extra gear to really want to push forward and move on. So in that aspect, when I went to AEW, kind of lit a fire under my butt to like, man, I still like this. I still like to do this. Whether or not I get opportunities to show it, I don't care. I just
Mm.
know I love the business, and I have a certain way of thinking about like what I want to show, and I don't think I've ever really gotten to show the world what I can do, and I would love to.
Well, that's really awesome to hear, man. I loved your work in WWE, and I really, really enjoyed how you were utilized in AEW. And that kind of brings me to my next question. You got to have this great match at Revolution 2022, where you teamed with Penta and Pac against your buddy Malachi and the House of Black again. This great hot 6-man opener. And it seemed like you kind of got plugged in there at the last minute because of an injury to Phoenix. Can you just talk a little bit about the match itself, and whether that was sort of like did you, when you sort of heard that you were going to be sort of plugging in for that match?
So I heard about it like a few days before I came out for I think it was a live Rampage,
Mm.
and they gave me the gist. I said to Tony, I was like, hey, I'm not one to cancel things. So I was going to go to the big event on Saturday. So like he was kind enough to pay for the flight back out there and back. So like, I can't say no to this. This guy's, paying money for me to still make my money. So,
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, it was last minute, but like, like guys like Alistair and Buddy and, Neville, Pac,
Hmm.
I love those guys. So any chance to get in the ring with them, I'm all for it.
Well, you guys had a really unique chemistry because they Pac and the Lucha Bros, the Death Triangle, were like sort of a unique flowing system. But adding this sort of big man element to it, it was just a lot of fun, especially watching you clash with Brodie, the big guy for House of Black. So just really enjoyed that match, man. And was happy to see you kind of eat up the experience of an AEW pay per view. Um,
I love those big guys beating the crap out of each other. My favorite match of the year was Drew, Sheamus, and Gunther.
Oh yeah, we love big slabs of meat just served up fresh, medium rare all the way. I enjoyed that too, man. That's fun to hear. Here's kind of a random segue. So we were talking about sort of big moments, getting opportunities. I was in the live crowd the 2019 Royal Rumble, and at the 2019 Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles had this world title match. And at the end of the match, who shows up? But our boy Rowan gives a big choke slam to Styles, and it sort of formed this new alliance between Daniel Bryan and yourself. And that led to like a very lengthy tag team run. One of my favorite runs personally of your career. You were very dominant. I don't believe you ate a pinfall in a lot of the tag matches that you had with Bryan. But I do remember the crowd feeling at that time like a little like, where did this sort of come from? Now, me personally, I thought you far exceeded expectations for that storyline. But looking back, knowing that there was some doubt in the crowd, do you feel like you lived up to the expectations for that run with Daniel?
I mean, I don't see why not. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and what I loved, and people can hate it or love it as much as they want, the Who Done It storyline when we split up. At least it led to a storyline about finally why was I pissed at Brian? Why did I get with Brian?
Mm.
Like, so finally, for the first time, I'm able to voice my frustrations. It might have only lasted, a month or so, a month or two, but I loved where it went to, and like I don't know how I couldn't have had any lower expectations. Like I remember coming into work, I was like, "Okay, I'm going there to get cleared," and because I hurt my right bicep, tore it during the SummerSlam match with the Bludgeon Brothers,
Mm.
and 2 days later I had to work through that injury for probably a really fun match with. We had a no disqualification with New Day.
With New Day, I remember you guys had to drop the titles because of the injury you had, I recall. Mm.
Got selling that I was not hurt at all because
Mm-hmm.
brothers are unstoppable. But no, I remember coming in and I'm fully expecting they weren't using John at all. I was fully expecting to not do anything but just reunite. And I was told there, hey, you got a flannel shirt? Like, what? We want you to do it. And so I get on the phone with John right away because I'm like, I'm not. If you're taking orders to somebody, you don't just say, yeah, sure, I'm going to do this solo run or I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
do this. Like you have a conversation. And so I told him this was not my idea. Like, are you cool with this? Like, I'm not going to do it if you're not. And he wanted what's best for me. So, as far as expectations from what people think or whatever, to me, you guys are watching a show, and the show's supposed to be filled with unexpected things and friendships and all sorts of things. You know, so a chance to be able to do this odd couple thing, I was all for it. And as far as expectations, anytime that I was told not to take the pinfall, that was not Office. That was Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Brian wanted me to look strong, to look dominant, because it only helped him with his heel character. And I'll be thankful for him for that rub for a while. But believe it or not, like they didn't want me to be that dominant. It was,
Mm-hmm.
and to his credit and his mind in the business, like he was smart enough to pitch for me for things. So I appreciate that.
Well, to your credit, buddy, you played the part spectacularly. Also, love the rotating metal band shirts that we got from you during that time. That was a lot of fun. Also, just side note, I know it's been some time, but my personal condolences on John. I know that he was a good friend of yours. Let's shift subjects again. I know you recently did an interview. You talked about wanting to get into the acting field a little bit more. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, you were in one of my favorite creations that's ever been created, which is Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that? Like what it was like working with Timmy? What was it like working on that show? How you like doing sketch comedy? The works.
So I didn't know much about the show, and I got an audition, and it was for earlier in the third season,
Mm.
for something else. So I like everything. If I get an audition for something, I watch the person's work because I want to know or what they do. I want to get the tone of what they do, the how outrageous things are. And this show, it, it's outrageous. And then I got this audition for a wrestler, and I've always tried to like stay away from doing typecast. I'm going to be the wrestler,
Mm.
you know. But I mean, the show's so crazy and wacky. Like, if you watch it, you get to definitely see a completely different side of me than you probably ever seen. So, like, just doing stuff like that, it's fun. That's what I love most about acting. Like, you see all different. I can play all different types of characters that are not my wrestling character.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, it's great. It's fun. Like, I love it. I love tapping into the emotional side of like roles. But like when these comedies happens, like I'm like, you can ask my daughter, like my wife will tell you, I'm a dork. Like we're we're doing all these weird things at home. I'm like, well, what's the difference if the world sees it?
Right, exactly. Well, I'm happy that you get to show the world some of that because, man, it was so funny. Just it was a lot of fun for me watching with non-wrestling friends and being like, oh, because Damien Sandow's in an episode too. So I was like, all right, we got a couple of wrestlers in the season this year, and Tim Robinson has a great wrestling sketch from his show Characters. That was also on Netflix. So you could tell, I feel like that he must be a deep fan. So again, great work on that. Is there, since you're trying to get into acting more, I guess I have to ask you your dream scenario. Would you say that there's like a director, a studio, another actor, any type of person that you would say would be a dream person to work with in the acting field?
So I've always strived to just do everything one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to, be like, I want to be a lead Marvel character or
Sure.
some. I just want a chance to show awesome creative characters, and whether it be those independent films that are, put down on Tribeca or Sundance, the very character-driven dramas. Uh, I'm just not used. Like, I'm a big fan of like those directors that
Mm.
bet 100% on themselves. It's a small crew, small budget, but sometimes those movies get wide acclaim and make tons of money, and like, and it's all because everyone behind it take pay cuts
Mm-hmm.
to just create this masterpiece. But I take everything one step at a time, and it's like, you try to go from like a guest star to a recurring to a series regular to a supporting lead and then eventually everybody wants to say, like WWE, everybody wants to be the main event, the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know I've never seen a 6'8", 315. You can talk about Batista, you can talk about The Rock. They're all shorter. Like, I've that's what I love about my type and who I am. I don't see it on television. I don't see like the struggling father whose wife just died in a car wreck and he's
Mm.
sobbing, trying to figure out how to get everything together, because you don't see that side of guys like me.
Mm-hmm.
And roles that I would love to tackle, that trauma and having to overcome and persevere in the light of everything and find something good. And I don't know if that makes sense to you.
No, 100%, sir. I mean, I'm aside from my job here at Wrestling Headlines, I'm an actor. I actually just made my own independent film myself that we put through the festival circuit, and it was a labor of love. So it's nice to hear someone that isn't just it's nice to hear someone that like really adores the process and loves character work and character building. And you, my friend, you're one of the best character workers out there. I mean, the work that you did in WWE, from the cage to the Wyatt family to your singles run, and then your run with AEW and on Indies is truly miraculous. And that's why I, Joey G, am so honored that you were able to join me today for an interview on Wrestling Headlines. And I thank you very much, Mr. Redbeard, for joining me.
Thank you.
Of course, buddy. Of course.